As you probably know, if you follow me on Instagram, I made one of the biggest purchases that I've ever made in my entire life. I guess I'll just get straight into this. I don't know how else to start this other than just doing it, so I'm gonna force myself to. So everybody, say hello to PayDay, my new 2018 Mustang GT.
Coming in, flex, I just wanna win, LABB, who we running with, 2233, I'm on 10 again.
I know, another Mustang, but before you get too upset, calm down, let me explain why you should be looking forward to this Mustang in particular and why I even got it to start with. I know that Gavin is just a 6. If you don't follow him already, go follow him. I'll put his tag right here. He has a Shelby GT350, a black Mustang GT. He has a Stage 3 Roush Mustang. I thought there was 4. What's the 4th one? Oh yeah, and then Doug's. Doug also has a Stage 2 Roush. So this makes number 5. Now, the reason why I chose to get a 2018, of course, is because it's different. There's a Gen 1 and Gen 2 Coyote, but the Gen 3s are the first Coyotes to actually have direct injection, which is a huge deal. It makes it much more efficient. Gas mileage goes up, it makes a lot more power. All around is great technology. So let's go ahead and get into the first reason for why I got a 2018 Mustang and added a 5th one to the collection. First of all, the color. This is probably the only color that could have possibly even convinced me to get a Mustang. I told everybody in the past that I was not getting a Mustang, but whenever I saw this orange, it's actually called Orange Fury, I couldn't help myself, I had to get it. The second reason why I got a Mustang is actually kind of surprising. It was the price. I was looking at getting a 6th gen Camaro for majority of the time that I was wanting to get a new car, but the only problem with 6th gen Camaros is that they actually hold their value a little bit better than Mustangs do, which that doesn't really help the argument of whether a Camaro or Mustang is a better car, but that's irrelevant. We'll get into that in probably another time. So let's go ahead and pop the hood and start getting technical. Now, the only bad thing about these is that they don't have hood struts yet. So I'm gonna set this on my head. This is like super awkward. So now the 3rd gen Coyotes, and I'll just talk about it a little bit. These are the first Coyotes that actually come with direct injection. That means that the fuel injector actually squirts fuel directly into the cylinder, and benefits to it are higher gas mileage and more horsepower, of course. Another reason why I chose the Mustang over a new Camaro is because of the power delivery. Yes, the new Camaros have a 6.2 liter V8. They make more torque, obviously, although this being a 5 liter, because of the new technology and the direct injection, they actually make near identical horsepower. This makes a little bit less torque, of course, because it's a 5 liter, less displacement, but that's okay. It makes up for it with the higher revs. This thing redlines at 7,500 RPMs, which is insane. I don't know of any other car that redlines higher than like 6,500 or 6,000, which if you're into racing is a huge deal because that means you have to shift less. And if you're driving a manual, it helps you keep up with those automatics who are just have like seamless shifts. They never have to stop moving. With the new S550s, not the Gen 3 Coyotes, the 2018s, actually whenever they first came out with the S550s, they came out with independent rear suspension on Mustangs, which the 5th gen Camaros came with IRS, which was a huge deal, helps a lot with handling. It actually allows you to get some camber in the rear, whereas with a straight axle, you can't, your wheels are stuck vertical. But this was a huge deal for the S550s. If you look up a lot of videos on YouTube, people doing reviews of S550s, I'm not gonna do a review of this because there's 1,000 of them on the internet, but you can see people. Oh, all right. What's up, dude? Man, he was revving before he even came around the corner. He knew I was here. Yeah. Ooh. Not bad. That sounded pretty good. Since he just drove by, it made me think about it. Exhaust. It's way too quiet. It's not gonna stay like that for long. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Now, let me get back to what I was saying. The independent rear suspension. If you go on the internet, look up any reviews about these cars, you will see that everybody is pretty much gonna be mentioning the IRS at one point. I will be definitely making use of the new independent rear suspension. This will probably be getting coilovers eventually, super wide wheels and tires. It's gonna be what I have in mind for it, a track monster. I'll be able to take it to autocross, take it to any road course event, and pretty pretty much just throw it everywhere. I got distracted, but as I was saying earlier, the 5.0 higher revs, part of the reason and one of the main reasons I bought this car, besides the beautiful color of course, is actually going to be the power delivery of the new 5.0s. The dual overhead cams, it's a little bit sluggish in lower RPMs, such as like anything below 3,000 RPMs, which in an LS, anything below 3,000 RPMs is not a big deal because they make so much torque. The 6.2 liters of displacement is just insane. But these don't make that much torque compared to other LS or GM vehicles, and that's okay. With this being a road course vehicle, which in my case is what I plan on doing with it, having all of that immediate torque coming in and out of curves is going to kick out the rear end a lot, and it makes it a lot harder to drive. This is actually much more corner friendly than any sort of Corvette or Camaro would be as far as power delivery. The suspension might be nicer on Corvettes, might be nicer on Camaros, I'm not sure, never driven them, but power delivery alone, the 5.0 is perfect for any sort of road racing. Speaking of road racing and using this car for that, that is one of the things that you guys can look forward to. There's a lot of Mustangs on the internet that are into drag racing. Every single S550 you find is probably going to be on drag radials at one point. This one will be too. Like, I do want to put some drag slicks on it, take it to the track and see what I can get in a quarter-mile time. It'd be kind of cool to chase maybe a stock engine or just an NA world record. That'd be kind of cool too. I'm kind of down for that, but that's besides the point. You always see S550s doing drag racing. Same thing for Camaros, same thing for Corvettes, everything else. Not many people do much road course stuff and put it on YouTube. So I'm kind of like, I'm really enjoying it. So I wanted to get an S550 and do exactly that. I don't really know where this is going. I don't know what suspension I'm putting on it. I don't know what wheels and tires. I don't know what I'm doing to the engine. I don't know if it's getting supercharged or turboed. I don't know if I'm gonna LS swap it or put something else in there. I don't even know how long the engine's gonna last, but I do know. Speaking of how long the engine is gonna last, this car comes with a 60,000 mile drivetrain warranty. So if you have a transmission break, you break an axle, your diff explodes, your drive shaft comes out of the car, you spin a bearing, any of that sort, as long as the car is taken care of, to my knowledge, it's warranted, which is awesome. I plan on beating the absolute piss out of this car, and I want to make that obvious. I don't know if the car is even going to be that pretty. Like, it looks great, but it's not going to be that pretty for very long. It's probably going to be rock trips all over it. It'll be covered in melted rubber eventually. Honestly, like, this is what the car is for. I bought it because I want to have fun in it. I don't want to baby it around. I don't want to just park it in the garage. I want to make sure that this car gets used for what it was built for. Let's talk about a few features of the car and what makes this the car that I chose to drive. So first off, most sports cars or coupes in general, they appear to be a two-seater car. Corvettes are this way, 350Zs are this way, and a few other cars here and there are all two-seater cars. Mustangs and Camaros though are 2+2s. They have back seats. Back seats are not very functional in this car, but they are usable. Let's just try and hop back here real quick. Kind of handy. They got this little loop for your seat belt. You can take it out if you need to get the seat forward. Let's move this forward to a somewhat of a tight position if you were to have passengers. So right there is pretty good for me. I am 6 feet tall, so if we hop in the back, this is gonna be fun. My knees still fit behind the seat, even with it scooted forward that much. Now, I am having to duck because I can't sit straight up. This is literally how I am forced to sit in the back of these cars, being 6 feet tall. Of course, if you have a girlfriend or a female in your life, it's probably gonna be a lot easier for them to hop back here. I guess be aware that it is not that spacious in the back of these cars. Now, sitting behind the driver's seat is gonna be a little bit harder because the driver's seat is going to probably need a little bit more room, especially if you're driving a manual. Also, while we're in here, I'll go ahead and show this. This is the first mod done to the car since I got it, is this nice little shift knob. One thing I don't like about these cars is how much play there is just in the shifter alone. Like in gear, look at this. That is in gear. It should not move that much. That is insane. That's awful. I can't believe that. How do you even make a vehicle that does that from factory? This is a known thing in these cars. Well, I'm getting out of breath from talking so much. That amount of play in the shifter is known to be not an issue, but like a thing with these cars that you have to consider whenever getting one. It's just that the bushings are really just that soft. They have that much room to actually move around in them. And overall, the MT82, especially in the 2018 plus Mustangs, is really nice. I do like it a lot. It's very, very snappy, goes into gear smoothly. It's very easy to just bang gears in if you want to. That's one of the pluses of Mustangs as well, is they have a very smooth transmission, whereas if you get a TR6060 transmission, they're a little bit notchier, a lot harder to get into gear with, but a plus to that is that they're pretty much bulletproof. I don't know what transmission comes in the 2016 or the 6th gen Camaros. I don't know what manual transmission that is. I didn't do much research on it, so my bad. But anyways, MT82s feel good. I like them. They might break pretty easily, but they feel great. But now, going back to the 2+2, the front and rear seats of this car, that was something I wanted to talk about as well. That actually has a little bit of an influence on what I plan on doing with this car. The Z, being that it is a 2-seater car and only 2 seats, makes it a lot easier for you to just completely turn it into a race car. Way easier. This car, however, it's really nice. It's really convenient. I don't really want to just pull the interior out of this car. I might maybe put harnesses in it and like a harness bar, but that's still going to take away some of the interior room and it's not going to be as comfortable. For the 2 front seats, it'll be fine. Back seats, like it's very convenient being able to stuff 2 people in the back of the car if you need to. It helps a lot with storage as well, which, speaking of storage, I'm sorry, this is just like exactly what it's like having ADHD. I just keep getting sidetracked. There is a lot of stuff in this trunk. I have all my cleaning supplies. There's still room over here, so we can push that. I have 2 VP racing jugs that I need to give back to Gavin. I got all my camera equipment, some other stuff right here. The trunks in these Mustangs are very impressive. They have a lot of room. So if you really want to have a daily, Mustangs are pretty good for that, other than that they take 93. But even though they take 93, this car gets about 30 miles per gallon on the interstate, which is pretty awesome. These Gen 3 Coyotes make a lot of power stock. You don't have to do anything. You can slap turbos onto them. As long as they have the fuel that they need, they can make over 1,000 horsepower with no engine mods, which is great. One more thing for why I chose a Mustang over a Camaro or some other car is actually our already established knowledge on Mustangs. I have not owned one of these cars, but I'm sure just like a lot of you guys, you watch Gavin's videos, he's got a lot of Mustangs. He's got a lot of Mustang knowledge. I have a lot of Mustang knowledge from being around him so much. Because of that, I didn't want to get the same exact thing that he had or had multiple of. He has all Gen 2 Coyote. So me, I decided to get a Gen 3 Coyote and do something a little bit different. And both of us are going to be trying to build as much knowledge as possible on these cars. The last cool thing I'll mention about this car is that it has electric power steering. Not hydraulic power steering like most cars. But in here, as you see in the bottom right here, it's a little steering wheel. That is actually how you can change the modes of how you want your steering wheel to feel. Because it has electronic power steering, you can actually adjust the amount of feedback that you get through the steering wheel. They have normal, sport, and comfort. Comfort makes it super easy to turn the wheel if you're on the highway or driving through town, or if you're just like all around not a very strong person. It's not hard to turn at all, but if you put it in comfort, it makes it a lot easier. But the only downside to it is that if you're on the highway or in Louisiana, which is my case, and you have a lot of bumpy roads, as you hit those bumps, you're gonna be bouncing around, causing you to jerk the wheel left and right. It's extremely sensitive, super touchy, but that's great for precision if you are looking for an accurate steering vehicle. Now, normal and sport, it's not gonna make you go off the road as easier, such as like if you are in comfort, hit a bump, it's gonna give you some bump steer pretty bad, but normal and sport, it's pretty good at controlling it. It's not gonna throw the wheel out of your hand or anything like that. It's just much more, I guess, aggressive of a steering feel. I don't really know how to describe it other than saying that it's harder to turn, but I'm trying my best. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the Mustang. It's still kind of new to me, haven't done any mods to it besides the shift knob, but overall, like, it's pretty great. But let's go ahead and go do a pull. Let me show you what this thing's actually about. Wow, I'm already over 18,000 miles. I've put about 800 miles on this car since I got it, and it was like a week ago. One thing I'm a little upset about is the fact that this car is so quiet, but realistically, it's not that big of a deal. Ooh, also a fun feature about this car is that it does have launch control. I played around with it a little bit, and it is kind of cool. said, it's not insanely fast. The car is a little bit quiet for what I would want. It's a little bit loose. Of course, the car kind of swings everywhere. But that's on 275s for the rear and 255s for the front. Stock suspension, so the springs are going to be a little bit more soft and comfortable. The shocks are not obnoxiously stiff. They have a lot of give to them. So like for a stock car, it is very impressive. The low end torque, like I mentioned before, is not really there. It's not super like touchy. It's actually extremely forgiving on the throttle, which is kind of nice. That goes into like the dual overhead cam power delivery that I was talking about before. Just a lot smoother. You have to be in way higher RPMs for it to have any sort of like snappy throttle response. For the most part, it's just very easy to control, but it is also on the stock tune. So I'm sure that once you tune the car, then it's going to get a lot more sensitive. Let's actually go right. Once you tune the car, it should get a lot more sensitive of a car. But getting up to speed, the car is extremely easy to drive. It's very forgiving, all around, like just a great off the showroom floor vehicle. I don't have any complaints from it. One thing I don't like about the stock exhaust though, obviously because it's too quiet, but just besides that, you actually hear the exhaust better with the windows up than with the windows down, which I feel like it should be the complete opposite. They have a lot of bass in this exhaust, but not much actual volume. You can't hear the car, you feel the car. So when driving it, like, you can kind of hear it, but you feel it more than you do hear it. But getting in higher RPMs, it's still about the same. It's very audible, you can hear it, but it's just all around a little bit too quiet. But if you get the car with the active exhaust, of course that problem is solved. But even at that point, still it's a factory exhaust. It's going to be super heavy and it's not going to be as loud as most people would probably want it. That's it. That's all I have to say about this car. Everybody, say hello to PayDay. This is the new and first V8 on the channel. Of course it's going to be a stick because automatics are not allowed around here. I'm looking forward to this car a lot. I'm really excited to see what happens to it. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing with it. I just know that it's probably just going to be all around the car that I just take everywhere. I'm going to drive it everywhere. It's going to get a ton of miles on it. It's going to get beat on. I'm real curious to see how much it's going to break because I already know how much the Z has broken. But it's not the Z's fault. That was my own fault. But just things to think about. This is going to be a much more expensive car to fix, but it should also be a little bit more reliable of a car up until it starts making a bit more power or it gets taken to a track the first time. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you're looking forward to this as much as I am. Leave a like on this video, drop a comment below, let me know what you want to see in the future, let me know what you want to see happen to this car, and I will see you guys next time.
Yeah, flex, I just wanna win. Yeah, LABB who we running with. Yeah, 2233, I'm on 10 again. Okay, alright, coming in. Yeah, flex, I just wanna win. Yeah, LABB who we